So, we were considering about relations, and in particular we considered binary relation. We also saw that a binary relation can be represented by a directed graph. Now, we shall study a little bit about directed graphs and also how they can be represented in computers when you use them as directed as data structures, and we shall also consider a few results about undirected graphs. Now, recalling the definition of a directed graph. A directed graph or a digraph is an ordered pair D is equal to A R, where A is a set and R is a binary relation on A. The set A is a set of nodes, it is called the points or vertices, and the elements of R are the arcs, they are called edges or lines of D. The relation R is called the incidence relation on D. For example, let us consider a directed graph like this. Where the vertices are A, B, C, D. This is a directed graph. The vertices are A, B, C, D, or the set A is A, B, C, D, and the relation, the directed arcs are represented as a binary relation on A cross A. In this case, the following order pairs belong to the relation. You have A B, so A B belongs to that. Then you have A C, you have B C, you have C C, and you have D C. So, these are the edges of the graph and they represent a binary relation R on A cross A. Now, if A is a finite set, we can represent like this. Moreover, the relation R can be on A cross B, where A and B are not the same. In this example, it happened to be that the binary relation is on A cross A. Supposing R is on A cross B, suppose take A to be say A B C, B to be say 1 2 3, and R consists of the following ordered pairs A1, B1, A2, B3, B2. Then you represent it as a graph where the vertices are A union B and the edges are represented from A to B. So, you represent like this, the binary graph will be like, binary relation will be represented by the graph like this 1, 2, 3. Each element of A will be a vertex, each element of B will also be a vertex, and all the edges will originate from a element from A and terminate on an element from B. So, you have A1, so there will be an edge like this, you have B1, so there will be an edge like this, you have A2, so there is an edge like this, you have B2, so there is an edge like this, you have B3, so there is an edge like this. So, the binary relation will be represented by this graph where the vertices are A union B and the directed edges represent the ordered pairs. When there is an edge between an element A and an element B, it originates at A and terminates at B. The number of edges originating from a vertex is called the out degree of that vertex. The number of edges entering into a node is called the in degree of the vertex. For example, here the out degree of A is 2, the in degree of 1 is 2. So, we will see that. Let D be a digraph. If A is related to B, then the arc AB originates at A and terminates at B. An arc of the form AA is called a loop. The number of arcs which originate at a node is called the out degree of the node A. The number of arcs which terminate at A is called the in degree of the node A. This self loop is something like this. If there is something like this, it is called a self loop. Here it is BB. This will be represented by a loop like this. Now, this is all possible when you have a binary relation on a finite set A. Suppose you have a binary relation on a infinite set. Let us take the set of natural numbers n is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, and the binary relation A is related to B is defined like this, if and only if B is equal to say A plus 3. So, how will you represent this infinite set and infinite relation? We cannot draw the graph completely, but we can represent a finite portion and say dot 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 like that. So, take for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, you can say it will follow a similar pattern here. A and B are related if B is A plus 3. So, 0 will be related to 3, which you can represent like this, and 1 will be related to 4, which can be represented like this. 2 will be related to 5, and that can be represented like this, and the pattern will follow. So, even though we cannot represent relations on infinite sets completely, a small portion we can represent, and the rest of it can be represented by dots, which will give you a picture of how the relation is defined. Now, some more definitions about this. Let D is equal to AR be a digraph with nodes A and B. An undirected path P from A to B is a finite sequence of nodes C0, C1, C2, Cn such that C0 is equal to A and Cn is equal to B. For all Ci such that I is between 0 and n, either Ci is related to Ci plus 1 or Ci plus 1 is related to Ci. Let us consider this same example. This is a directed graph. You have an edge from A to B and you have an edge from B to C and you have an edge from C to C, A to B, B to C, C to C. This is a directed path, This is C0, path from A to C, from A to C. It starts at A and ends at C. A, B, C is a directed path, A, B, C and so on. So, this is, if you in the notation, this is C0, C1, C2 and so on. There is an edge between C0 and C1 and C1 and C2 and so on. If you consider A, C, D, from A to C there is a directed edge like this, but from C to T it is directed in the reverse direction. So, ACD is an undirected path. It is a path, but it is not directed. It is called undirected path. Here if you represent A, C, D as C0, C1, C2, from C0 to C1 you have an edge, but the other way it is C2 to C1, this you must understand. And then the notation and terminology in graph theory vary from book to book. So, I will try to explain with a particular notation and terminology, but when you come across any other book, the notation and the terminology may differ a little bit. So, you have to be careful about which book you are looking at and what is the notation followed by them, what is the terminology followed by them. Let me take one more graph. A, B, C, D. Now look at this. A, C, B, A, C, D. Is this a path? It is a path. A, C, B, A, C, D is a path, but it is undirected because it is undirected path. Because in the last steps D to C it is not directed in the usual way, it is in the other way, it is directed from D to C. Suppose I consider AC, BAC, AC, BAC, this is a directed path, directed path. But the node A appears twice in that, C also appears twice. If any node appears only one in a path, that is called a simple path. Simple path. For example, ACB is a simple path, no node is repeated here. It starts at A and ends at B. If the start node and the end node are the same, it is called a cycle, directed cycle, directed cycle. If C0 is equal to Cn, it is called a directed cycle. For example, if you take A, C, B, A, C, B, A, it is a directed cycle. A, C, B, B, A is also a directed cycle. This is not a simple cycle because B is repeated twice. A, C, B, B, A is a cycle, but it is not a simple cycle. This is a simple cycle. This is not a simple cycle. So, you use the word cycle, in some books they will use the word circuit. These are some other terminologies. How are graphs represented in computers? Let us take the same graph. With 4 nodes and directed in this manner. How will you represent this graph when you look at it as a data structure? Graphs and trees, which are particular classes of graphs, are very useful as data structures. Now, there are several ways of representing them internally in the computer. One is known as the adjacency matrix. adjacency matrix. Now, there are 4 nodes, it will be represented by a 4 by 4 matrix. In general, if there are n nodes, the adjacency matrix will be represented by a n by n matrix. Now, let us see how this graph can be represented. You have A, B, C, D in the column, you also have A, B, C, D in the row. Now, this from the ith row and the jth column, this element is 1 if there is an edge between B and C. Okay. So, that is from this to this, if there is an edge, it is represented by a 1, Boolean 1. This is a Boolean matrix represented by zeros and ones. Now, look at this, from A to C there is an edge. So, this will be represented by a 1. From A to A there is no edge, so that is 0. From A to B there is no edge, so this is 0. From A to D there is an edge, so that is represented by a 1. Now, from B to A there is an edge, so it is represented by a 1. From B to B there is a self loop, that is represented by 1, and from B to C there is no edge, so this is 0. From B to D also there is no edge. From C to A there is no edge, from C to B there is an edge, from C to C no edge, C to D also no edge. So, it is like this. From D to C you have an edge, but you do not have any edge from D to any other node. So, it is represented like this. Now, we can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 edges, and in this Boolean matrix there will be 6 ones, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 6 ones. So, if an element is 1, for example, it is 1 here, that means it is occurring in the row corresponding to C and the column corresponding to B. That means there is an edge from C to B, or the binary relation represented by the graph contains C comma B, C comma B, the ordered pair, if the element corresponding to the row C and the column B has a 1 in that. This is one way of representing, and this is called adjacency matrix of the graph, or the relation represented by the graph. There are other ways of representing, especially if this is a very sparse matrix, it may occupy too much of space. So, other methods are followed. For example, you can represent all the edges listing from A. The vertices are taken in this order, say A, B, C, D. So, see what are the edges leaving A. A comma C is the edge leaving A, and A comma D is also the edge leaving A. Then from B you have B A, you have B B, and then you have edges leaving C, C B, and then D C. We can list the edges in this manner. This is one way of representation. And if you see the correspondence between this and this, you see you are listing the elements row by row, and each element represents an ordered pair in the relation. See, first take the first row, A to C, A to D you have, then the second row B to A, B to B you have, then C to B you have, the third row, and the fourth row D to C you have. You represent them like this. There is one more method of representing this, which is called the linked this is ordered pairs, and you list all the ordered pairs. Another one is linked list method, linked lists. So, each node will be represented like this. For example, A will be represented. There is an edge from each, I will represent like this. B, C, D. From A, there is an edge to C, which will be represented by this, and then there is an edge to D, which will be represented this. From B, there is an edge to A, and there is an edge to itself. From C, there is an edge to B, and from D, there is an edge to C. The whole thing can be represented in this manner, and this is another way of representing the graph internally. Now, we will come to the definition of what is meant by a subgraph and a partial subgraph. Let D equal to AR be a digraph. A digraph D dash equal to A dash R dash is a subgraph of D if A dash is contained in A and R dash equal to R intersection A dash cross A dash. If D dash is not equal to D, then D dash is a proper subgraph of D. A digraph D dash equal to A dash R dash is a partial subgraph of D if A dash is contained in A and R dash is contained in R intersection A dash cross A dash. So, let us consider some example, then it will become more clear. Take some graph like this, A, B, C, D, this is a directed graph. Now, A consists of A, B, C, D. Take A dash which is contained in A to be just A, B, D, A, B, D. Then the subgraph, this is a subgraph. You consider the nodes which are present in A dash and all the edges between them which are originally in the graph G. This is G and A, B, this is directed like this. This is G dash is called the subgraph. You are removing C and then all the edges connected to C. You are considering only the vertices A, B, D and all the edges incident on A, B and D. This is the first definition, that is R dash is equal to R intersection A dash cross A. The second one says when do you call it as a partial subgraph. For example, here you may have A, B and D, but you may not have all the edges between them, you may just have some of them like this. This is a subgraph, this is a partial subgraph. This is according to this definition. Again, as I mentioned to you, the definitions vary from book to book. you may call, in some books this is called a subgraph and this is called a partial subgraph. In some other books this will be called a subgraph. Any, you can take any subset of the vertices and any subset of the edges incident on those vertices. And here you have the subset of the vertices, but whatever edge was incident on them in the original graph is definitely present here. This is called in induced subgraph. So, as I told you again, when you refer to a book you have to be careful what terminology they are following. Either this is called a subgraph and this is called a partial subgraph, or this is called a subgraph and this is called a induced subgraph. Now, suppose let me take a set A again, A comma B comma C, and R is a relation, is a subset of A cross A. Now, suppose it is the empty relation, it will be represented by a graph with just vertices and no edges between them. This is called the empty graph, and there is no edges, there are vertices and but no edges between them. The universal relation A cross A is the universal relation. The graph representing the universal relation A cross A is called a complete digraph. All ordered pairs are present there. For example, when you take A, B, C, all edges connecting any A to any B should be present there. Every node should be connected to every other node including itself. So, this is called a complete digraph on 3 vertices. This is a complete digraph on 3 vertices. On 2 vertices, a complete digraph looks like this. If you have just 2 vertices, if you have just one vertex, this is a complete digraph on one vertex. This is a complete digraph on 2 vertices. This is the complete digraph on 3 vertices. When do you say a graph is strongly connected, and when do you say it is connected, and when do you say it is not connected? What do we mean by strongly connected graph? Connected graph and disconnected. When there is a directed path from every vertex to every other vertex, when you have a directed path from every vertex to every other vertex, it is called strongly connected. Look at this graph. there is an edge like this, there is an edge. See, from A there is a directed path to B, there is a directed path to C, there is a directed path to A itself. Similarly, from B there is a directed path to C, directed path to A, there is a directed path to B itself. This is a strongly connected graph. Now look at this. When there is a path, it may be directed or undirected. From every vertex, vertex or node and vertex denote the same, from every vertex to every other vertex. The graph is called a connected graph. Look at this graph. There is a directed path from A to B, there is a directed path from A, B, C like that, but this way it is in the opposite direction. You do not have a directed path from here to here, or if you take from C to A you do not have a directed path, but there is an undirected path. This graph is a connected graph, but it is not a strongly connected graph. Now look at a graph like this. There are some paths between A and B, between C and D, but there is no path from this portion to this portion. There is no edge from this portion to. The whole graph consists of 4 nodes A, B, C, D, and this portion is not connected to this portion by any edge, and such a graph is called a disconnected graph. This is disconnected. It is not a connected graph, not a connected graph. If this condition is not satisfied, that is the first two condition. If it is not strongly connected or connected, it is disconnected. But this disconnected graph, this portion is connected and this portion is connected. They are called connected components of this graph. They are called connected components of this graph. So, this graph has 2 connected components. This is one and this is one. Now, we have learnt a little bit about binary relations and how they are represented as graphs, directed graphs and so on. Generally, in graph theory, you deal with edges which are not directed. So, you talk about undirected graphs. Now, having started on some concepts of graph theory, let us see what is an undirected graph and what are some of the terminologies associated with the undirected graphs and so on. So, next we shall consider a few terminologies related to undirected graphs. Here again a graph means an ordered pair A, or I will rather put it as V and E. V is a set of vertices and E is a set of edges. For example, it can be represented like this, say A, B, C, D, and now there is no arrow here. It is not A, B is an edge, but it is not directed. It is between A and B. So, that order is not important when you consider undirected graphs. They are not directed graphs, they are undirected graphs. Generally when you say graphs, you mean undirected graphs. If it is directed, you have to specifically say directed graphs. So, a graph can be represented something like this. This is a graph. You may also have something like this. You may have multiple edges between C and D. You may have self loops like this. So, you may have multiple edges, that is between C and D you have 3 edges here, and you may have self loops. If you avoid this multiple edges and self loops, it is called a simple graph. If you do not have multiple edges or self loops, the graph is called a simple graph. Now, generally a graph represents some connection between the nodes. It is mainly the connection between the nodes which is represented. For example, in a computer network, each system may be represented as a node, and which system is connected to which node, that can be represented as a edge, and so on. It is not necessary that the lines joining them should be straight lines or curves or something like that, and the distance between the two nodes should be something, and so on. That is not at all necessary. It is an abstract model, and which node is connected to which node. And see, I can draw something like this. This is a graph A, B, C, D. Everything is represented by the straight line and also the shortest line between the two nodes. But that need not be the case. I can also represent the same graph like this, A, B, C, D. Like this. It is a connection that matters. B is connected to D, A is connected to C, like that. The lines can be curved or straight line, it does not matter. So, they represent the same graph. And when you have something like this, this is called a pendant vertex. Pendant vertex or pendant node. Now, here in the we talk about the degree of a vertex, degree of a vertex. What is the degree of a vertex? In the case of directed graphs, we talked about in degree and out degree. Here there is no such thing. When you have undirected graphs, you have only degree. The degree of a vertex is the number of edges incident on that. For example, here what is the degree of A? 3, degree of B is also 3, degree of C is also 3, degree of D is also 3. And if you look at this matrix, I will draw like this. If you look at this graph, A, B, C, D, E, what is the degree of A? Degree of A is 4, degree of B is 2, C is 3, and D is 2, and degree of E is 1. Okay. This is called the degree of a vertex. Now, we can see that if there are vertices V1, V2, Vn and let dVi represent the degree of Vi. Consider a graph VE, consider a graph G is equal to VE, where V is equal to V1, V2, Vn. There are n vertices in the graph and the number of vertices is n. Let the number of edges be E, the number of edges is C. Then dI dVi is the degree of Vi, vertex Vi. Then you will realize that sigma di dVi I is equal to 1 to n is 2e, twice the number of edges. This is very obvious, but again let us verify with these examples which we have considered earlier. Look at this example. How many edges are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 edges are there. And what is the degree of each of these vertices? Each one is of degree 3. So, sum of the degrees is 4 times 3, 12. And the number of edges is E. 6 into 2 is 12 and each vertex is of degree 3, there are 4 vertices. So, that is true, they are equal. And look at this, how many edges are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 edges are there. Calculate the degree of each vertex. A has degree 4, B has degree 2, C has degree 3, D has degree 2, E has 1. This sums to 12 and you have 6 edges, 6 into 2 is 12. Why? Because each edge is incident on 2 vertices. So, each edge will contribute to the degree of 2 vertices. When you calculate like that, there are E edges, each edge will contribute to the degree of 2 vertices. So, the sum of the degree of the vertices will be 2E. This is a very simple result about graphs. Now, we have seen how to represent directed graphs using adjacency matrices. How do you represent undirected graphs? Again, let us take this example. How do you represent? Like this, by adjacency matrix. A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. There is an edge between A and B. You can also look at it as a edge between B and A. There is an edge between B and C, B and C. There is no loop, self loop here. If self loop is there, you will have a 1 in the diagonal. There is an edge between, there is an edge between A and C, so 1. There is an edge between A and D, that is again 1. There is an edge between B and A, B and C and B and D. Like this. This example happens to be like this. Now, there are 6 edges if you count the number of ones. there will be 12 ones twice, and it is a symmetric matrix. It will be symmetric because it is undirect. Symmetric. This matrix is symmetric about the diagonal, because here there is no direction between A and B. So, it will be represented as an edge between A and B and also between B and A. That is why it is it can be represented like this. Now, a multiple graph, you may have several edges between two nodes, and in that case, that now you can, instead of representing as a Boolean matrix, we can represent by an integer there. If the ijth entry is a number 3, that means there are 3 edges between I and j, or between j and I. Now, the whole graph theory started when Euler defined, or he solved a problem called the Königsberg problem. Königsberg bridge problem. Which was considered by Euler in the 18th century. And what was that problem? In a city in the East Prussia, there was a river flowing like that, which created 2 islands like that. And the landscape was divided like this, A, B, C, D. This is the river, There were bridges like this, 7 bridges were there like this. The question was, can you start from any one of the portions A, B, C, D, walk through each one of the bridge exactly once and reach the same portion A wherever you started. Then Euler proved that it is not possible to do that with this sort of a arrangement of the bridges. How did he prove that? He represented this as a graph like this, A, B, each of the land portion, the 2 islands and the 2 banks. B and C are the islands, A and C, A and D are the banks. Now, there are 2 edges between A and B, that was represented like this. There are 2 edges between B and D, 2 bridges. So, 2 edges between B and D. Between C and D there is 1 edge, between C and A there is 1 edge, between B and C there is 1 edge. The whole thing can be represented by a graph like this. It is an undirected graph. Now, the question was, can you start in any one of the positions, pass through an edge exactly once and reach the same position? This is also called something like, can you draw a curve or something without lifting the pencil? You draw from one node to another node and then reach the same node without lifting the pencil or a pen. This one you cannot do like that. And why is it that? Because this is not an Euler graph. For that we have to consider what is meant by a walk, and that walk is an Euler, what is meant by a walk, what is meant by an Euler walk, and so on. So far in the examples which we considered, we did not give labels for the edges. We could also label the edges. For example, the bridges can be numbered from 1 to 7, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7 bridges can be labeled like this. Then a walk is like this: A, 1B, 3C, 7D represents a walk. That is, we can start from A and reach D by going through 1, 3 and 7 like this. Let us consider one more problem, which is called utilities problem. There are 3 houses, H1, H2, H3, and they have to be provided with utilities: gas, water and electricity. So, gas has to be provided to each house, water has to be provided to each house, and electricity has to be provided. Now, the connections have to be made in such a way that there is no crossing of the tubes and so on. So, you have to do it at different levels. Suppose you do it at the same level, and then if you do like this, there are crossings. For example, this crossing you can avoid by connecting like this. Okay. Can you do everything in such a way that there is no crossing? It has been shown that it cannot be done this way. There will be at least one crossing, and such studies also play a part in by the use of graph theory. You call what is known as a planar graph. If it is a planar graph, you can draw the edges without one crossing the other. If it is a non-planar graph, you cannot do, you cannot avoid crossing. In this case, you cannot avoid crossing. For a graph like this, if you have a graph like this, same thing you can draw without crossing like this. These edges can be like this. From this to edge, you can draw like this, and so you can have, without crossing, you can draw this graph. This is a planar graph because you can draw that without crossing. Whereas this you cannot do like that. Somewhere there will be some crossing. At least one crossing will be there. If, for example, suppose you try to do like this, this one, this one, this one, and this like this, probably this like this, this like this one like this like this. But then how do you draw this? If you come across like this, here you have to cross. If you go like this, here you have to cross. Somewhere you have to, at least one crossing will be there. So, this is not a planar graph, and we have to study properties like planar graph and so on. So, first we shall study about what is meant by an isomorphic graph, and then we shall study about the degree of a vertex, some terminologies like walk, path, etc., and then see what is an Eulerian graph, what constitutes an Eulerian line, and so on. We shall also consider what is meant by a Hamiltonian path and so on, and what application. Hamiltonian path has lot of application for practical purposes, and we shall see what is the application.